Hello everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome back to another video. Day has finally come. It's finally arrived on our doorstep because I finished because I finished Ruthless Vows. It's a sequel to Divine Rivals, and why did I read it? I didn't like the first book. I'll link it down below, my review for the first book. Why I didn't like it? I don't really remember. And I need to get this out right from the start because the comments, they will come. They always come. I read this book because I got it early at the bookstore. And I thought, oh my god, I'm gonna read it. And then when the book comes out, on the day I can put out my review because I got it early. So I'll be able to read it early. I didn't do that. I got busy. I was really busy. So I have been reading this book since the end of December. And now it's the end of February. Yes, I know. I did read Crescent City in between, but that doesn't count. This book was so fucking boring. And now you're gonna say, okay, still, that's not a good enough reason for me. Why did you read this book? I'm a reviewer, dummy. People comment under my videos all the time. Rightfully, you would say, asking, why did you read this book if you didn't like the first one? I'm a book reviewer. I have to read to review. And also, how little faith do you have in said author that the second book could be better? This could have been, like, my favorite book ever. It could have been so slay. It wasn't. No, Rebecca, if you're watching this, Rebecca Ross, don't watch this, but if you are, I love you. I love Rebecca Ross. She seems so sweet. You know, the author, Unproblematic, cutie patootie. How do the kids say nowadays on TikTok? Something with P. Like pootie, but not pootie. Pookie. Rebecca Ross, my little Pookie. She seems really sweet, seems like a great person. There's nothing inherently wrong with her books. They're just really boring. And so if you like this book, if you like the first book, if you like this book, that's great for you. I didn't like it. That doesn't mean you're not allowed to like it. Everyone's allowed to like what they like. I like things that you don't like. This is just meant for entertainment purposes only and for funsies and for people who didn't like the first book but still want to know what happens in the second one. That's also why I read second books, for people who don't want to read it. So I sacrifice myself, you understand? People will comment paragraphs on paragraphs asking, why are you reading this? It's my job. Just kidding, it's not my job. I did work this morning. I've been up since 5 a.m. Before we talk about the book, guys, I mean, again, watch the first review if you haven't. I'll link it down below. This time for real, I always forget to link, but I will. This book took me 50 million years to read. I finished it last night and I don't know what was going on in it. I have no idea what the fuck this was. I think with the first book I said that I liked the idea of it, but I was really infuriated with the fact that it was advertised as like a war and fantasy story when there was very little war and very little fantasy going on. It was just mainly the romance. And so Rebecca heard me. She heard me and she said, okay, bitch, then I'm gonna give you this book that has like little to no romance. Really bad. The romance in this wasn't good. And all of the lore and all of the war and all of the fantasy. But I don't know how to write fantasy. That's also what she said. So this is just like, it doesn't really flow. You can tell that she is more of a romance girly, I would say, which is fine. But that begs the question, why include fantasy in your book at all? Because this is a duology. There's nothing coming. Maybe there is. The epilogue kind of hints at the fact that there could be something. Lip product of the day. Today I'm wearing the Slim Stick from Essence. This is new. I love doing this. I was talking about it with my friends and we were talking about the fact that when we were younger we were always pretending to show things to the, like, a fictional, no, imagine, fidget, to a made-up camera. And doing this because all the YouTubers that we were watching were doing it, and now I can just do it. Here you go, guys. I've shown you 5 times now. In the shade Brick Road. And then I'm wearing the Catrice Volumizing Lip Booster over it, which you can tell by the applicator because it's stained. But this does not volumize. Do my lips look juicy? They don't. But reading sequels like Iron Flame makes sense because I know people will watch that. Especially if I hate it because everybody loves it. But books like this, people don't give a fuck about. So if you're watching this, you're a real trooper. Love you. And if you're watching this early, then you are one of my members. My members get early access to all of my videos. They get a shout out in my video. They get exclusive stickers in the comments. They get a cool badge next to their name. They get to vote on my next reads, which, by the way, currently there's a poll going on and Credence is Winning by Penelope Douglas, so I don't really know what I've gotten myself into there. They also get access to exclusive content such as my Ruby Red movie commentary. My members are Haley B, Ashley Ranger B, Mrs. Perringa, Trinity ELW, Clara S, Kushimita, Deja, Queen Sif, Courtney, Haley Charles. I just said that really American. Courtney, I'm sorry. Grace, Lacey Lace ADC, Elovette, Probably Brie, and my newest member, Marissa Simmons. I love you. Thank you for joining. I hope you vote on the poll. Love you. I think it's Simmons because I think that's how the Americans pronounce it. I'm not saying she's American or anything, but I know that's also a first name, which would be Simon, and so it would be Simons. But I think people usually say Simmons, but it's also a very common German first name. Just a little bit of Germany lore. It's a very common German first name, and then you would say Simon with a long I. So Simons instead of Simmons. Just so you know. Mwah. I've been up and I've been working for you guys, also working now. The working never stops, the grind never stops. Join my program now. I'm just kidding, but I keep getting like advertisements for people like saying, oh, I'm hiring. It's like, shut the fuck up. You know those online business scams. Don't fall for them. Just in case you need some advice. No guys, this will be short and sweet, I think, because there's not much to say about this book. It is a really big paperback. I would show you my bookmark next to it to show you, but you know, I'm not yet. Not yet. Save up, guys. It has a little over 400 pages, and I don't know if the print is big or not. I don't really know what print is big, but I think that the cover, honestly, it's cute. Like, they're children. It says, torn apart by war, reunited by love? So God wills. And you know what bitch— oh, I'm sorry. That was really angry. You know who gave praise for this? The fucking author of Serpent and Dove, Shelby. She says very eloquently, rich and romantic. Thanks, Shelby. Also very odd about this book, or not odd, but just peculiar, fuck off. Very interesting about this book is you have the chapters in the front because all of the chapters have titles, and they're literally listed in front, and I haven't seen this in forever. Are we bringing this back? I don't have anything against it, I don't mind. I do kind of think it's a little bit waste of paper, but you know, alas. We have bigger issues. Now Rebecca Ross, our sweet girly pop, our Pookie, she does seem to be the type of person that's really into like the old-timey shit. Also with this book being set in like God knows when. It's supposed to be the First World War. No, it's not. It's not the First World War, not even the Second. Well, obviously. Bitch, am I good? But because the theme of the book, I mean, you can see by the way they're dressed, he's wearing spandex for fuck's sake. I did my hair like Iris, not really. Slick back was not in then. But my hair, it is hair wash day. I had to slick it back. I couldn't do anything else. Also don't know what they're doing. I'm not sure what they're doing. No, I'm not. Are they about to kiss? Are they just standing intimately? But the point I was trying to make is I dressed up. I have on a blouse. Not ironed or anything, but I did put on a blouse. In German, you would say I dressed up a little bit schickimicki. I've never said that. Schickimicki is like really fancy, like fancy pants. Like you kind of make fun of people who are schickimicki, like they're overdressed. You're like, okay, schickimicki, like okay, fancy pants. I don't know if you say fancy pants. I don't know where I grabbed that from, that vocabulary. But I thought I'd dress up for you guys, even though I don't have an iron. And I also don't care. And you know what? My pants are also striped, but a different stripe. So how's that? How's that for fashion? Okay, you don't care. Let's talk about the book. We picked this up 2 weeks after the first book ended. And as you remember, a little recap if you don't want to watch the first video, which please do. This book was 19 euros, guys. That's fucking expensive. Why? In the first book, there are 2 characters, Iris and Roman. Iris and Roman, they are working for a paper. There's a war going on. They get sent to the war front to report on the war. And then eventually they fall in love. They randomly get married after 2 weeks at the war front, because that's what war does to people. They get married. They are both, I think he's 19 actually. She's 18. She says this in the book. We'll talk about it. It's so cringe. They get married. They don't even fucking know anything about each other. But it's kind of like that, like, you know, you have to get married. It's a war. if you don't get married, then when? But I think there's like more pressing problems than being married. Maybe they didn't want to have sex before marriage. Maybe they're Mormon. Alas, that I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me if I'm being honest. Anywho, they get attacked. The village gets attacked that they're in. And then her brother turns up all of a sudden. You know, we always have that fuck-ass trope of the brother presumed dead or he's gone and he appears at the end of the book. That's something YA does all the time. Why do we do that with brothers but not sisters? Why do we do it at all? He turns back up and he's like, hey, Iris, we have to get out of here. They get out of there, but in the process of getting out of there, they leave behind Roman. Roman is captured by the evil god, because the evil god is a man, because all men are evil. And that's the only thing I believe about this book. The only believable thing. I'm just kidding, but he's just mean and evil, but he's blonde. You know what? That's why. He's blonde and he has long hair. Ew. Guys, I'm just kidding. I've had a boyfriend who was blonde. Roman gets left behind. He gets captured by the blonde dude. And he heals him because he was supposed to be dead. He inhaled some gas because we're in a world war. I'm German. What ends up happening is he gets healed and he loses all his memory of everything, right? And the dynamic that we had in the first book was Iris didn't know who was writing her magical letters through her fucking wardrobe on her magical typewriter, and Roman was the one writing to her, and he knew it was Iris he was writing to, but Iris didn't know who wrote that it was Roman, even though she knew Roman, okay? And so the dynamic we have in this book is Iris is writing to Roman, but Roman doesn't know it's Iris because he lost his memory. So we're just doing the first book again with a little bit more war. Wow. Roman gets captured, and Iris doesn't know if he's alive, if he's dead. She's with her brother back in the city. She's back at work. And she also gets a haircut at some point, and I kind of skimmed that. I have to confess. Since I wanted to finish this book, because it got on my nerves. If anyone wants this, let me know. I need to remove it out of my view, out of my sight. I started very heavily skimming. Yeah, I did. Because Rebecca Ross likes to write a lot. She likes to yap. And I'm no better. I'm the yapper. We've settled on that now, you know? It's become a little bit of a joke. People say they like my yapping, so thanks. But Rebecca Ross, she also likes to yap. And when two yappers meet one another, can't end well. So that's why we don't get along. She is my Pookie, but she cannot out-yap the yapper. The master yapper, which is me. What I mean by that is that she just talks a lot in her books. She just writes a lot of... She's very descriptive. And some people like that, and I don't. I know I don't like it, and so I was skimming the fucking book until I got to dialogue, and I was reading the dialogue, and that gave me all of the information I needed, because she does a lot of descriptiveness, as I said, but a lot of also metaphors, a lot of comparisons, a lot of prose, trying to sound very eloquent, trying to make the story very vivid for you, but I think she did it too much. And I think I said in the first review also that she has better writing than a lot of these authors that are now publishing books. She knows big words, she uses big words, she knows the words. At some point it's just too much. No, I'm kidding. I just don't like it. I just don't really care for prose. If that's something you're into, then you're gonna like this. And I also think now that I'm thinking about it, okay, I think a lot apparently. In the first review I said that if I had read that book when I was 14 or 13, which is YA, right? I would have been in the age category. I probably would have liked this just because I would have felt very smart reading it. Not necessarily because it's good, but I would have felt like, oh my god, like she uses so big words. And that's also why I like Shatter Me, because in Shatter Me, I mean, Tahara Mafi is a fucking force unto herself, the fuck ass writing she does. Fuck Shatter Me. It's just a lot. Tahara Mafi does the most, really. And I want to do a Shatter Me series review where I read the entire series. I do have a review of the fourth, like, full-length novel that she released after the original trilogy, because I was so excited for it, because I actually used to love Shatter Me. As I said, I felt really smart. Because, for example, the quote, this is embarrassing. People can think of me whatever they like. I don't desire their validation, is something Aaron Warner says in one of the books. And I read those books in German. I don't even know how I knew that, but I knew it from Tumblr. I knew how I knew it. I need to stop lying. And I read that quote, and I had to Google the I had to Google what validation meant. I didn't know that word at the time. I was 14. Sorry. And then I had it on my wall and I put it everywhere, like in my bio and stuff. I just felt so cool with that quote because it had the word validation in it. And I was like, nobody else knows that word but me. I'm the only one that knows that word. And so there's a lot of big words that I would have said are big back in my days, you know, in this book. So that's why I'm saying if I had been 14, I would have probably liked this. But that also being said, let's take a sip of water. Stay hydrated. How many of you guys watching this? I just spilled water all over myself. You can't see. Okay. Have a Stanley Cup. I want to know. Because it hasn't reached Germany just yet. Not yet. It will. But I wonder, does everybody in America have a Stanley Cup? As I mentioned, I would have liked this when I was 14. But talking about the genre, this is a romantasy, a young adult romantasy. They are 18 and 19. They do have sex. Off page, they talk about exploring each other's bodies. But I was sometimes a little bit put off by the writing because it felt at points very juvenile. Sometimes it felt like I was reading a book for children with the way that some things were explained or just the way that some characters expressed themselves. I felt like sometimes this was like targeted towards a really young children. But then you would get a scene where they were A, having sex, or B, someone would die in front of one of the main characters and then his dead body fell into her lap. And then I was like, sorry? Like random very graphic scenes. Not very graphic. I've read more graphic, but like for the genre graphic, where I then was confused. Like it was very inconsistent is what I'm trying to say. Oh my god. So I don't know what was up with that. I don't know what was up with that because it was multiple times that this happened and I don't really know what age group she was going for because I've discussed this before. Maybe I should do a podcast about it, about the whole age thing. But I've just done dark romance. There's so many things to talk about. I think with YA, the spectrum of possible ages that could read your book, if you label it YA, is just too broad. Because when you are a young adult, there are so many different mental states that you are in. Okay. Like people at the same age as you can be in a completely different mental state than you. Or like less developed, more developed, whatever. The maturity level. Wow. It's very different for many people. And so labeling your book as young adult, I mean, there's nothing else you can do. You have to do it. It's a genre. But it just begs the question, should there be more age recommendations? I think that on Amazon and stuff there are age recommendations, but who does them? Who decides? Again, whatever. Egal. Iris is trying to live a normal life back in her old apartment with her bro, going to work, hanging out with her bestie, Babe, Addie. I don't really have anything to say about her. She plays the violin. They're not allowed to play the violin because the evil dude banned music because his ex-wife, they're all gods by the way, the evil dude and his ex-wife sung him to sleep for centuries with her song, and so he said no more music, and so the chancellor of course is also on the side of the evil dude, and then he said okay, no more stringed instruments. Got it. Arguably she's a little distressed about the fact that her husband is missing because she escaped with her brother thinking that her brother was Roman. I think I got mad over that in the first review. We don't have to rehash it. Wow, big words from me. She left Roman behind and they are all very certain that he's now with the evil dude. By the way, the evil dude, his name is Dacre, but I don't want to say that. It's hard for me to say. Daniel is better. Daniel. Especially if I talk a little bit more about him, it will make sense that I don't call him by Dacre. That sounds way too dramatic. Let's call him Daniel. So since her brother got captured by Daniel and was healed by Daniel because he has healing magic, and then in consequence served him because he also lost his memory, he got his memory back and is now with Iris again. He tells her that's probably what happened to Roman, that he got Roman or Roman. And so she holds out hope that that is the case and that he is alive, but she can't really do anything. Peace and love, like, I'm gonna complain about it, but realistically, there's nothing else she could have done. She doesn't really do anything about it. He's gone. with Daniel. She doesn't know where they are, what to do. They're at war. Nothing feels imminent. That's the right word, right? I know that from Hamilton. The pacing in this book, again, was really off. You have chapters where there's active war going on, or there's like supposed to be tension, and then you skip to someone else just chilling and having a conversation at a cafe or something. I just, again, don't think that Rebecca is very skilled when it comes to the fantasy aspect or the high stakes aspect. Like, it would have been better just as a romance and not a fantasy. But then the craziest thing ever happens, and that is that there is an article published by Roman. And he is with Daniel right now. How can he publish a book while he's in prison? Did I just say book? I meant article. Don't worry. He didn't write that much. The article is, how do you say it? Signed Roman C. Kit, which is obviously his name. And immediately Iris says, Kit is alive, which they keep calling each other by their last names. You are married. You are married. It's also your last name. But I don't know if that's just me being nitpicky, but I just imagine, like, even if it was a nickname, why would I want to keep calling because he also does it to her, why would I keep calling my wife by her maiden last name, as in, like, just call her Babe. Just call her Baby Pookie. She sees this article published, immediately thinks Kit is alive, Roman is alive. What if he isn't? Why would he be alive? What if someone's lying? This is not a thought that crosses anybody's mind, by the way. This is just a thought that crossed my mind. If my boyfriend was gone at war, he was fighting, and then there was an article published under his name after he was already a known writer, journalist, whatever the fuck she wants to call herself. And I know that the Chancellor is evil. Maybe this is about Germany, actually. Why would I just assume automatically that he is alive? And why would no one around me question if this maybe was just a setup? That they were just using his name to publish because they knew that his name was known and that people would read it. Do you understand my thought process? We're in a YA, that's why. I know why, but I like being mean. No, I'm just kidding. I don't like being mean. It's just something that I have to do. So, as previously assumed, Roman was kidnapped by Daniel, who healed his wounds he got from war while he was trying to run after Iris. He kind of got like gas and stuff like that. Some issues with his leg. And in consequence, he lost all of his memory. So he wakes up and he says, wow, I don't remember anything. And Daniel is like, don't worry about it. You have to write war propaganda for me. You have to write propaganda. There's no one here capable of using a typewriter. No one here can write. We need you. So he does. Again, this is like all very convenient. I think that the characters don't really question anything, which made it maybe also read very juvenile. Not juvenile, that's not the word for that, but very like a kid's book to me. Because everything was also just explained on page. When someone questioned something, everything was explained in exposition. But most of the time, the characters don't question anything. Why doesn't he ask him, why can't anyone else do it? He's just like, oh yeah, I can do that, I'm a writer. And why the fuck does he need Roman to do whatever. Daniel needs him to write propaganda. I did not give a fuck about all of the fucking yapping that she did. Peace and love, again, you can't out-yap the yapper. Though, master yapper, I have to clarify. There were pages on pages of like no dialogue where things were just being described. And at some point, especially between Roman and Iris, the whole I love you so much, you're my everything, I yearn for you, it felt a little bit fake. It felt like at some points, especially later on in the book, that like she was trying to do the most, because they would keep telling each other like, you're my heart, you're my soul, cherry lady, They would tell each other very elaborately how much they meant to each other, but you know what they did not say once? Guess. If you guessed I love you, you're right. Never once did one or the other character tell the other, I love you. Just plain and simple, just the old love. How boring is that? Saying I love you? You gotta say like I'm hungry for your words and your pussy. I don't fucking know. I was reminiscing about this and I was like, I don't think they ever did it, and it didn't. Like, it's not a joke. They told each other they loved each other, but never with those words. They always had to make it complicated. And let me tell you something, that would get on my fucking nerves. In the beginning, okay. Like, we just got to, I mean, they did just get together, but they are married. So, the fact that they're married is so insane to me, because there's sometimes Roman is like, my wife! And I keep remembering, I'm like, oh yeah, they're married. Like, that's so weird. Whatever. You get it. It's just... Like, at some point, like, fucking drop it. Like, just tell me the tea. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, all of the... Was ist Umschreibung? Hey Siri? Was ist Umschreibung auf Englisch?
Auf Englisch ist Umschreibung. Description.
No, it's not. I mean the descriptions like around saying I love you. She did everything in her power to avoid writing the lines I love you because that would be too boring. And at some point, it just got on my nerves because every time they saw each other, they would tell each other with all of the words they had that they loved each other, but not with those words. That just felt kind of ass to me. Peace and love. Iris steals the third magical typewriter from the museum because hers and Romance was left behind when the fucking, what was it? Town was bombed. She steals it with her best friend and her brother's new girlfriend, who she doesn't know is her brother's girlfriend anyway. Doesn't matter because she dies in the end. And she finds her dead body next to her brother's dead body in the rumble. That's what I fucking mean. That's what I fucking mean. That's graphic. There's no consequences for this. No one... I mean, you could say that they have bigger issues going on, like a war. So nobody cares if there's a typewriter missing from the museum. No one's going to the museum anyway. But nobody in the city seems to care about the war. Because the chancellor's like, you don't need to care about the war, so nobody cares about the war. So I'm thinking they would care about the typewriter. But they don't. She steals it. She sees some weird masked people downstairs. No, I don't know where she sees them. I kind of skimmed over that. But it turns out that's the graveyard. And this is the only time I will be mentioning the graveyard. They are a rebel alliance that want to kill all the gods. That's why they're called graveyard, because all the gods need to go to their graves. They have no relevance in this book. They could have been completely left out. There's like no reason for them to be a known organization. They're only there to be like a little silly sometimes. They're like, you can't go out after 10 p.m. It's like, we did that during Corona, like it's nothing new. After stealing the typewriter, she is now able to write Roman letters again because she figures out he's alive through the published article. And so she tries her luck and is like, I hope he also has the other magical typewriter, and writes to him. She writes him 3 questions and he gets it and he's like, I don't know what that fucking means. Bitch. She almost tells Daniel about it because him and Daniel are kind of becoming besties. Whenever they talk, Daniel just gives him a lot of exposition that nobody gives a fuck about, and it also has no relevance because this is a duet. This is 2 books. There's nothing coming. So God wills, there's nothing else coming in this fucking world. I could totally see her doing a spin-off about her best friend Addie and Tobias. I think they might be dating. And that's kind of the vibes I got from what I read about them. I didn't read everything about them. But she could totally do that. So from that point onward, for a little while, it's literally just them having like the reversed first book where they're writing letters to each other and she's like, oh, my name is Elizabeth, because that's her middel name. And in the first book, Roman was using his middle name to talk whatever. You don't care. They write to each other, cringe has letters, and then Roman writes her, and he's like, tell me something about yourself that people know, or a fact about yourself. And then she says, a fact most people know, I'm 18, but I've always had an old soul. Who told you that? I fucking hate that. I hate when people say shit about themselves like that. Who told you that? It's only valid when other people say it about you, right? When you guys say I'm funny, that's valid. When I say I'm funny, that's not valid. I can't say that about myself. That's so weird. Or when they're like, I'm so humble. No, you're not. I don't think you are. Why are you saying it then? You bragging. At this point, we're pretty far into the book already. Honestly, there's like not that much content, but this evil dude, this is also my review that I wrote, doesn't read like a mighty immortal that's super dangerous with all his knowledge and whatever, that's lived from whatever, how many years. He reads like your estranged uncle that's not invited to the functions anymore. He does not feel like a god. No, he doesn't. So why is he in here? He could have just been a fucking evil dude. He didn't have to be a god. But then she tries doing all of this plot about gods and their siblings and powers. And for what? They're not relevant. Turns out Daniel is really bestie babes with Roman's dad, because Roman's dad is rich, as we remember from the first book, when he didn't want to pay for Iris's food because he was scared his rich dad would find out, even though what does it matter? Iris is literally poor. She's literally poor. She couldn't pay for the sandwich. I don't really want to tell you guys about like the in-depth lore of this book because it really, in the end, does not matter. But just know that Roman asks Daniel about several things, like lore related and also relevant to everything, like to winning this war, and Daniel just trusts him. He fucks with Roman so hard. Maybe he wants to fuck Roman even, so he just tells him everything he asks. It would be fitting, since he is an estranged uncle. I don't know if that was funny. Just an example. I don't know why, okay? He tells Roman, sit down with your typewriter and write this letter for me. Can you not do it yourself, bitch? I don't know, guys. Especially because it's like confidential information. He goes, Captain Hoffman, in 6 days your forces... No. In 6 days' time, your forces need to join us at Hawkshire. If you have not succeeded in your northern mission, you will have to resume it after the battle. My brigade, how do you say that? Bridget? Doesn't matter. We'll begin the assault from within by utilizing my doorways, as previously discussed, and your troops should be prepared to assist in the undertaking if the second takes longer than I expect. I am also low on supplies. Prepared to bring whatever food rations you have. Bring some fucking McDonald's while you're at it. He tells him to write this letter to one of the captains, and so Roman is typing this out. Obviously, now he can tell Iris, hey, they're trying to take over this town, which she is, by the way, in Hawkshire, right? So she evacuates everyone. He snitches, even though he shouldn't. He's in dangerous position. Sorry, like, I'm so confused why he would have Roman type them out. It makes no sense. There's no reason for him to trust Roman. He just believes wholeheartedly that he would never snitch, and that, but he is a snitch, and that he cannot remember anything. And that's why he keeps asking him, like, can you remember anything yet? Or do your wounds hurt? Because whenever they remember things from their past lives, their wounds start hurting more and more and more. And so if they remember everything, it becomes almost unbearable. And so they will go back to Daniel and tell him, hey, can you heal me again? And then in turn, they will lose all of their memories again. But Roman is a real G. I've never said that. And he pushes through and doesn't tell him that he remembers, because he actually meets Iris at Hawkshire. And then they touch, and then he remembers everything through their touch. I get this feeling, and every time I touch, fly. I don't know lyrics that well. This is before he remembers, obviously, but I've had maybe like 2 letter conversations, and he goes, Dear E, the problem is I want to hear from you at all hours. I want to read your words. I am greedy for them. I am hungry for them. Hungry is underlined. Not sure if you can do that on a typewriter. You say you are moving locations day by day. Oh, it doesn't matter. She tells him she's going to Hawkshire, and then he's like, oh my god, that shit's gonna get bombed. Bitch, you gotta get out. And then he still proceeds to say, I fucking love you. Not directly, but I'm hungry for your words. I want to talk to you all the time. I don't believe it. We find out after this, because Iris goes back to her hometown, to the city, whatever, after Hawkshire was bombed and she got to escape because Kid warned her, or Roman warned her. Sorry, I don't want to call him Kid. Don't call me Kid. I don't listen to Taylor Swift. Do you guys think I look like the Fire Lord right now with this hairstyle? Do you think I look better than the new Fire Lord, the live action Fire Lord? Do you think? I don't know what he looks like, actually. I haven't watched it. I refuse. Peace and love. And when she returns to Oath, she gets threatened, which Oath is the city. London is my city. She gets threatened by Roman's dad because he hates the poor. And he says, break up with him. I'm not gonna sing again. I was gonna sing again. I'm not gonna sing again. Bitch. He says, break up with my boyfriend. No, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to make the joke. Break up with my son. Here's money. Because that's what rich people do, you know? They give you money to break up with your husband. And she's like, no money in the world could make me break up with my rich husband. And she finds out that his house is one of the places where there is a door. Because this door leads to the realm beneath, which is obviously where the evil people are from, like hell and stuff. Oh my god, maybe she is Mormon. And she is shook at this. And it turns out, because again, this is like not because of Rebecca or anything, but this is just because this is a duet. And in duets and standalones, it's always hard for, in my experience, to build up tension because we know a cast of like 5 people. And how are you gonna do a plot twist when with like someone betraying someone if there's only 5 people? Like, I know 5 names. There's not that many people that could be the betrayers. You know what I mean? Can you relate to this? I just feel like it's so hard to make me excited for a plot twist with someone betraying someone in a standalone or a duet, which this is, if we know like 5 people and we know that 2 of them are evil. Obviously it's gonna be his dad. He's evil. He lets them use his house for their mission because they want to take the city, and then it turns out he doesn't even like Daniel that much. He doesn't like him like that. Daniel sends Roman to talk to Iris because Iris has been publishing, how do you say, articles still in the newspaper. She hasn't stopped and she's still advocating against Daniel, and he fucking hates that. And so he's like, hey Roman, do you know Iris? And he's like, I don't know who that is, even though he remembers. And for some reason, even though Daniel is a god, he doesn't realize any of this shit. He's like, okay, go talk to her in a cafe and convince her to write for me. I need more propaganda. I don't really know why the letters in this one city are so crucial to this fucking war. I don't really get it. How big is the world? You know what I mean? I don't know. She meets with Roman in the cafe. He slips her the letter and they have to pretend like they don't know each other. But he also slips her another letter, a secret letter that he wrote, and it says, come over tonight and have sex with me. And this is like OG sexting before phones, you know what I mean? No, not sexting, booty call is what he's doing. And you know what she does? She fucking turns up and she's like, let's fucking go. And they take a shower together and then they have sex. In his bed. And in the shower. She doesn't write about it. She does the little, you know, this way. But where do we draw the line? Do we draw the line at sex or do we draw the line at dead bodies on your lap? I don't really know. Dacre is at the house. He comes to the house with his crew, with his gang, ready to take the city. To convince everyone in the city, like all the nobles, to be on his side. So he can, because his ultimate goal, I didn't even mention, his ultimate goal is to kill his ex-wife, right? I haven't even mentioned her name. I'm not going to. She has no relevance in this book. The outro and the intro, this is YouTube, okay? We're talking about a book. The prologue and the epilogue are about her, out of her perspective. Well, this is third person, but following her. She has no relevance in this book. She appears to Iris at one point, telling her what to do. And that is like the entire extent of what she has. And she pulls up at the final battle with an illusion and whatever. Like, it was, the whole plot with the gods was so unnecessary. They didn't need to be gods. You know what I mean? The only reason they needed to be gods is because of the magical typewriters and the healing powers. But I feel like we could have figured something else out for that and just left the gods plot behind. Now I have to change the battery. Let's try a cool transition. Let's try, okay? I did that. You guys let me know if I ate that up. Ugh. After the sexy sleepover, the time comes for Daniel to convince all the nobles to join his side, and he wants to hold a big speech, right? And then, oh my god, Roman is supposed to deliver a letter, okay? It's in a red, no, not in a red envelope, I don't remember, but he's supposed to give it to someone in a red coat or something from one of the, I don't know, officers of Daniel's, who's actually secretly a rebel for the graveyard that I mentioned earlier. But the graveyard has no relevance. He could have just been a rebel, period. You know what I mean? It could, like, it didn't need to be an organization and to be made into such a big deal that they mention it multiple times. It doesn't matter, whatever. He tells Roman, you better give this letter to the man in the red coat at this gathering. Otherwise, I will tell Daniel that you betrayed him and told him about everything, like told Iris about everything. So that you're a traitor, basically. And he says, okay, I will do it. I will do it. And so he goes to this event, this big speaking thing. I kind of imagine it like, let me get my prop. You know who that is. I kind of imagine it like when they're holding the speech in Attack on Titan in season 4, right? He's standing in front of a huge crowd, they're listening to him, and then all of a sudden, the stage explodes to kill Daniel. They want to kill Daniel. He has the big butt. This doesn't work. And you know why? The letter that Roman was supposed to deliver said, a blow won't be enough, you have to cut off his fucking head. Like, otherwise he won't die. And he had to give it to a person responsible for the explosives. But he didn't do it. Because he saw Iris's big fat booty in the crowd, talking to someone. And he got distracted by her big juicy tits. And then he missed handing over the letter. And then it was too late. And the explosion happens. And obviously Daniel doesn't die. He's scared Iris is dead and everything because he was just so transfixed by her appearance. Guys, sorry. Then Daniel obviously is like, who did this? Who wants to kill me? Who betrayed me? And nobody speaks up about it. And so Roman is like, I don't think anyone wanted to betray you. Like, why would we do that? We've been working for you and everything. Like, that would be so silly. And he just believes him. He's like, you know what, Roman, you're right. None of you bitches would ever do that. Let's go have tea. This gets really blurry for me because we're like almost done with the book, and so I just started skipping. I was like, I want to have this over with. What's gonna happen? Like, how are we gonna kill him? Failed assassination attempt, whatever. It turns out that the goddess has been hiding in the city, and she has so far done nothing but appear in the prologue. And she turns up in the museum where Iris is hiding after the explosion because she got injured, and she tells Iris, you need a sword, you need a magical sword, here, have it. She gives it to her, literally. You have to behead him with this. And then Iris is like, okay, sure, I'll do it. I'm not busy or anything. Nobody questions who is good or who is evil in this book. We just know Daniel evil, his ex-wife good. Because men are always evil, women are always good, obviously, as I mentioned. I don't know why we believe that. I don't know why I don't know why everyone just accepts it. I think a better plot twist would have been if the woman was actually evil. She also reveals that she has killed all of her siblings because Daniel wanted to kill them and take their power, so she killed them to take their power. That's something an evil person would do, you know what I mean? Are you? It turns out that the ex-wife isn't able to do anything herself because her power is weakened or something. Very lame excuse. Iris says, don't worry about it, I'll finish him off. And then I'll kill him. She meets with Roman at her workplace where she was hiding the sword, the magical sword, to behead him. And she shows it to Roman and he gets super horny and they fuck on her work desk. Yeah. Daniel wants to bomb the city. Iris announces in the newspaper to everybody, he's going to bomb the city, here is where you're safe. Because there's something about ley lines and houses being on ley lines and they can't be bombed. And so she also publishes that in the newspaper because Daniel forces her to write about the bombing or something. I actually don't remember, doesn't matter. And so she then like works against it and is like, I'm gonna write another article to warn everyone about the bombing or something. I don't remember, but anyway, she warns everybody. She's now a hero. Not yet, it hasn't happened yet. This bitch ass woman again, the ex-wife, peace and love, you know, girls support girls, but I don't really know why we like her or like why we're supposed to like her because she's not done anything in the entire book and she just sends people to do her bidding and it just annoys me so much because I don't understand the reason for it. Maybe it was written in the pages that I skimmed, but I can't change that now. I can't do anything about that now. Roman gets exposed by Daniel for being the mole and being the one to feed Iris information and that they're married, and he's like, yes! We are married! She is my wife and I stand behind her! And you know what, bitch? I don't care if you're gonna kill me because I love my wife! That's literally the conversation that they have. He then gets put into a dungeon somewhere. At no point was I scared he was going to die. I don't think anybody was. And then Iris kills a dude. Don't really remember how that happened. Then she's like, oh my god, I killed a man for like 3 pages, and then she doesn't think about it again. She goes into the dungeon, she goes into the underworld where the Daniel is hanging out, you know, his blonde bitch ass. He's just hanging out there, and then Iris is like, I'm gonna fight you, and she takes her best friend with her, who's able to play the violin, and she plays him a little silly song. So it's supposed to make him fall asleep, and I think it does. eventually make him sleep. Anyway, doesn't matter. Iris cuts off his head. She's killed 2 people now. Kill count is up to 2. Assists? Probably more than that. Daniel is now dead. And Roman gets freed. And her brother is dead in the Rumble, as I mentioned. And then they live happily ever after and Roman writes a book. The end. This was like a fever dream. They killed an evil mighty god with the power of friendship. Again, like his ex-wife appears somehow in the end with an illusion because she killed someone who had the power of illusions and then she got the power of illusions. It doesn't fucking matter. And then the last scene is like her disappearing somewhere with her harp that she wasn't able to play before because she was so weak or something. I don't even fucking know. And so that's what I mean, like she grabs her harp and she disappears and it's like, okay, so are you hinting that something's going to happen? Because honestly, if she did make a spin-off and revealed that the lady was evil, I would fuck with that. Thumbs up for me. For this, thumbs down, bitch. 2 even. You know what I'm gonna do? Like in good old times? I just did not fuck with this book at all. Again, it felt very like schwammig. Oh, we've had this discussion before, I forgot the word. Very spongy. It just felt like it wasn't thought out that well and that she put everything that she missed putting into the first book lore-wise into this book. And the main characters are apart for, I think, 80% of the book. They're separated. They meet occasionally to have sex and tell each other that they love each other with all of the words in the fucking world besides I love you. And I'm really over it. Like, Peace and Love, like, if you told me that this was your favorite duology of all time, it's not something where I would be like, okay, dummy. It would be something that I would accept. And I would tell you, you're so cute. You know, if you like this, you're cute. You're pooky. I can't stop saying it. I don't even know what it means. This is a cute little silly duology. It's easy to read, but I think that the second book drags on. Compared to the first book, I would say that the first book was better than this. Like, I think that this suffers from second book syndrome, but sadly, the second book is also the last one, you know what I mean? Again, I think Rebecca, you know, Peace and Love, she's written other books. Whether they are fantasy or not, I don't know. They're definitely romance, but I don't know if they're fantasy, if they're romantasy. If you meet Rebecca, please tell her from me that she is my Pookie and that she should continue writing, but not fantasy. Not fantasy. I hope, let's see how many likes I have on my Goodreads review. My Goodreads is at Honestly Sophie YT. I didn't mention it in the beginning. Fuck! 27 likes? Go like my review. Make it the number one star review. Top liked. Because that's me for the first book. I also want to be the one on the second book. Let's see how many likes you have to beat, guys. Fuck! Someone has 500 likes on their 1-star review. Guys, we need to beat that. See, she also says it liked the cute angsty moments between Roman. Oh, she, by the way, is Shania. Shout out Shania. Cute angsty moments between Roman and Iris that I was eagerly waiting for. Yeah, bitch, you know, I could tell. The sun is coming out. It's time for me to hop off and go somewhere in my shikimiki hemd. No, it's not a hemd. It's a blouse. What is hemd? I have nothing else to say. I felt like I didn't tell you anything, but this is one of those books that truly you don't need to read to get. I think with like some books you need to read it to really get it, what's going on with plot and everything and how you get from point A to point B, but with this book you don't really need that. You just need me. Anyway, guys, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was a lot of yapping. Again, like, I read this book because I had different plans for it, but then I already had it and I started reading it and I thought, like, even though I can't post it on release day because I'm busy, I still want to read it because I spent money on it. I still want to review it for you guys. Yeah. That's just me. I'm so selfless. Let me know your thoughts on the duology if you've read it. Let me know if you think the same way I do about standalones and duologies. If you've watched me for a little bit longer, you know that I'm a hater for standalones and duologies. See on my Instagram at Honestly Sophie YT. I'm being more active on there. And also I'm currently working on bookmarks. And if you are interested in any like information on that, like any closer information when with release and everything, be sure to follow me on there. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you so much for watching. Thank you again to my members for supporting me a little extra and for making it possible that I can buy a book like this. Thanks. I'm kidding. I love you guys so much. I hope you stay happy, you stay healthy, peace and love, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.